Thank you for coming in, Secretary Reed. I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
Just start for you. First, what is your message to young college students?
Just what a great political year this is, an exciting year, and of all the times for them to get involved, this is it. Because everything from presidential race, open seat governor, a lot of other open seats both in Congress and in statewide office. A couple of initiatives, one on marijuana, and another one regarding a referendum on same-sex marriage that's likely to be on the ballot. So really a good year to get involved, get active, get involved in some campaigns, but fundamentally you need to register to vote and to vote.
Yeah, of course. The two initiatives you just mentioned, do you think those are kind of inspired by the younger generation in a sense?
Well, they certainly, there's different in the polling so far on both of them, in that younger people tend to be for them, older people tend to be against them.
Yeah.
So that'll be one interesting thing about how good of a job they do in getting young people out to vote.
Yes,
it's going to have a lot to do with whether that initiative and that referendum pass.
I understand this is the last year before you retire and everything. What is your goal that you feel going to all these campuses? What do you hope to achieve?
I am deeply concerned that the younger generation doesn't register to vote and vote in nearly proportion of the rest of the voting population. It's been getting better since 2000 when I was first elected. It's been coming up, and actually 68% of the 18-24-year-olds voted in 2008, which is pretty darn good. And it compares to the total vote of many other states. In our state, however, overall rate is 85, so there's still a ways to go, but I do think we're going to continue moving up.
And if I'm not mistaken, a role of the Secretary of State is to promote civic awareness in voting. So do you, since you began in 2000, or were you like in 2000?
January 2001 was when I began.
That has went up since you've been our Secretary of State.
Yes, and I certainly can't claim credit myself. I've been very impressed with student leaders like you have here at Pierce College, and there are a lot of other organizations that dedicate a lot of time and effort to it. But we have put together not just the college civics tour, but we have mock political elections for the high schools. We have information on how to vote and lesson plans for teachers, how to teach how to vote for the high schools. And we continue all year to do a number of things, working with young people around the state. So I think that's helped, but it's been a combination of a whole lot of folks to make it happen.
Well said. Well said. Let's see. In your definition, I understand that defining civics is kind of hard to do sometimes. How would you define that?
Well, when I think of civics, I think of what is the civic responsibility of citizens of our country. And a fundamental to it is participating in our democracy. That is an absolute responsibility of anybody of citizenship. But beyond that, I think it's very important that they get involved in the community. And that's been part of our tradition and heritage in this country is we're volunteers. We're willing to get out. We're willing to help out. And I've been very impressed with this generation, your generation, in terms of their willingness to get out, get involved in community projects, help out, clean streams, food drives, tutoring kids, just doing, just amazing a number of things that are being done. And so that is one message I share with this generation, is to keep doing this, and when you finish college, go on. It's important you continue this ethic as an adult.
Earlier you gave stories about how specifically community college students have come through the open system that we have here in Washington and have inspired change, that they've been elected into the legislature, and how we've acted and enacted that change. Since you've been you elected first in 2000, do you feel that there's an overall more general positive feeling toward government? Because I can understand that the politics sometimes is very difficult for people to understand sometimes.
I think partly because of the recession and the cutbacks that had to occur at the state level, but also at the county and city level as well. And then now it's happening at the federal level, and then some of the problems of being able to do that. Unfortunately, that, I think, pushes a more negative view of government. You know, the confidence rating of Congress is an all-time low. And actually, if they asked the same question about the legislature, I would suspect they would be very low. So this is a tough time. But I think once we get through it and the economy starts coming back, all that the people generally in the state of Washington have been very supportive of their government, and partly because we're so participatory here. More people are engaged and involved, and that makes a difference in terms of their confidence in government.
It sounds like you're a huge supporter of local politics, and that's where most of the change can be made.
That's right, and I really encourage college students, young people to get engaged. And one example was over in Yakima Valley. At Yakima Valley College, community college, there was a young fellow I met there on a college civics tour. He's 18 years old, and he said, "I'm running for the city council." I said, "Well, good for you, you know." And again, he looked very young, but he went out, worked his heart out, and did a great job. And it's a pretty big city, about 60,000, and pretty tough politics there, but he won. Good for him. And then he's now like 22, 23 years old. He's the mayor of Yakima. So it just shows that our state is open to young people, as well as the examples I cited in my talk. Vincent Vise up in Whatcom County, a community college student, and Hans Zeiger here in the Puyallup area, who was a student at Pepperdine.
And one more final question. I know that you've done extensive work with your office archiving and doing work with our Washington State library system. Has that somehow helped affect the libraries here? Because I know that we've had some changes.
Well, I was incredulous when former Governor Gary Locke announced that he wanted to eliminate the Washington State Library. Now, this is an agency under him, but I just couldn't believe it. So I spoke up right away and said, "It's about the worst idea I've ever heard of." It has a unique collection in the world of Washington State and territorial history. But very important, it is a conduit for federal funds to local libraries. Act of Congress says you have to have a state library. The state library receives the federal funds, and then the local libraries apply for those funds and for grants, and then we give out grants based upon need and everything. Fortunately, I was able to save the library, and it is very important to both your community libraries here in the Puyallup area, but also to the college libraries. The community colleges use our funds, are very connected with our state library, and so it has been very helpful to the library community generally around the state, and I hear that every time I go out.
Well, thank you very much, Secretary Reed.
Well, you're very welcome.
Appreciate having
Thank
you
you for the interview. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, fine.